Hi, welcome to Luxury in Moderation, where we appreciate the finer things in life without going overboard. Today's topic is exactly about being in moderation. It's kind of like an update on how I've been feeling about my Hermes journey. Last year, I talked about being overly addicted and getting too frustrated with that mindset. And earlier this year, I shared that I want to prioritize other things. So this is just like an update on everything that's been happening, how I feel about Hermes journey now, even just luxury handbags in general. Before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Joanne and I do love all things luxury. I have a bunch of luxury handbags, a bunch of luxury shoes, but as this video will share, I'm also not just trying to spend all my money on all these material things, and I think that's worth a discussion and why I called this channel Luxury in Moderation, because there are other important things. So if you like this kind of content, please feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss my next video. I first wanted to share all the other things I've been spending my disposable income on that are not luxury handbags and shoes and clothes and all of that. These I would categorize as non-conventional luxury. You wouldn't think of them as luxury, but they are a pretty penny. So instead of spending thousands of dollars on another handbag, I've chosen to first get LASIK. So last December, I did get LASIK for my eyes. That cost upwards of $5,000. The procedure itself was at least $5,000, and then I had to go buy like eye drops and all these things. So there's definitely more than $5,000 just to get my eyes fixed, but now I do have 20/20, so now I don't need glasses, and I think it was worth the investment. The next thing is I spent $4,000 on landscaping my backyard. Since I bought my new house last year, there's definitely been a lot of money going into the house, but the backyard needed a lot of work. All the drainage that went along with all the aesthetic things of the backyard, and I think that really was worth it as well. Along with that, I also spent $4,000 on furniture, so I needed new couches, I bought new bedside tables, so there's definitely a lot of money going into the house that, again, I could have spent on a handbag or shoes or whatever, but I did think that I needed to prioritize my house this year. Most recently, I've decided to get clear liners to straighten out my bottom teeth. So that costs $3,500. In addition to aesthetic benefits, I do think that there'll be long-term health benefits, so that's definitely something I think is worth spending thousands of dollars on for myself. So all of these things basically has caused all of my disposable income to be put towards non-luxury handbags, and therefore I'm spending a lot less on my typical luxury purchases than normal, right? Like last year, I went to Hermes every other month. I was trying to establish a relationship with my SA. Now that I have had to force myself to pull back from that because I do have limited funds and I've had to prioritize other things, I felt like I had to force myself to just enjoy what I had and not go and buy new things, which sounds so silly when you say it like that, but that's what happens when you get sucked into, the Hermes journey or any luxury or material lifestyle where you're just looking for the next thing to buy. This is all first world problems, but I did want to share how my mindset has shifted now that, my spending habits have really changed. I have been forced to really enjoy my existing luxury collection, right? I do have so many wonderful bags already that I am using them more and more often because I'm not adding more bags to my collection at the moment. So I've really decreased my cost per wear and been really satisfied the more that I've used my existing bags. Now, of course, I love all my bags. That's the reason why I bought them in the first place. But you kind of forget about that love when you're looking for the next thing to buy. So now that, I have my capsule collection that cover all my bases, I am rediscovering, my love for them. The next thing I realized is my 3 leather Hermes bags are basically the trifecta of like the classic Hermes staple colors. My Birkin is in the Etoupe, my Garden Party 30 is in the gold, and my Kelly 28 is in the Noir or black. And those 3 colors seem to be, what most people consider Hermes classics. They have them all the time. They're not seasonal, and they really go with a lot of different outfits, which is why I think those 3 colors are the most sought after. They're usually the highest priced ones in the secondhand market. So I kind of stumbled into getting these 3 colors, not really by plan. I think a lot of people really strive for, dream for, and request these 3 colors as an Hermes client. But for me, the Etoupe, when it was offered to me in Paris, I actually didn't want it. I actually was afraid it was too brown for my liking, but I accepted it because I was afraid I wouldn't get another offer. The black came from my mom, so she's the one who chose that classic color. And then the Garden Party in the gold also wasn't a color that I requested specifically. I just let my SA know that I wanted a Garden Party, and she offered me this classic color. So I feel really lucky to have these 3 staple colors in my collection. I do agree that they go with all kinds of different outfits, especially when you pair them with different color twillies. They can dress up or make the bags even more versatile. So it just happened to work out in that way for me. The other thing about Hermes is because so many people have kind of heard about it now with social media, with luxury in general being kind of a craze these last few years. A lot of communities have started talking about Hermes. There's some gatekeeping attitudes where some people who have been shopping for years don't like the new people shopping at the brand. There's also a lot of other people telling you have to spend this much and don't even think about asking for a bag without spending a 1-to-1 ratio. There's a lot of rules that have been put out if you want to shop Hermes, which they may or may not be true, but shopping should be an enjoyable experience. It's not like we're taking a test at school, right? There's also a lot of misinformation going around. For example, people like to say if an SA offers you a bag, you have to take it. And that actually might be true at some boutiques, maybe at some really competitive boutiques or some SAs. Their attitude is like that because they want the commission, they want the money. But that's also not the same situation on the other side of the world or even the boutique in the next state over. So these are not hard and fast rules, but they get repeated over and over, and that's how rumors spread. So it is a very weird and chaotic thing to be on a Hermes journey right now. And on one hand, there are a lot of stories about people who spend a lot of pre-spend or basically buy a bunch of other things before they get their bag. And on the other hand, there's a lot of stories of people who walk in and don't spend that much and still get a bag offer. And I think both could be true, but the people who believe the first stories, like, oh, you have to spend like 1 or 2 times the amount of the bag before you get a bag offer, sometimes they don't believe the stories on the other end, and then they just are dismissive of that. So I don't think that's fair either. Certainly the World Wide Web isn't always telling the truth, and there are fakes out there, there are fake stories out there, but I don't think it's very nice when you just dismiss someone because you don't believe that they could get a bag without spending, $20,000. The last thing is, I actually think my SA retired, and I haven't been to the boutique in a really long time, so I actually can't confirm this. I did try to keep up my relationship with her through texting, but obviously that's not the best way if I'm not making face-to-face meetings and I don't want to waste her time because I'm not actually buying anything. So I just kind of lost contact, and I'm okay with that, and I'm especially okay with her retiring because that means I don't have to maintain a relationship right now, and I can prioritize my spending on other things. For example, travel and, you know, more home furnishings, all of that this year. So I'm actually kind of glad that happened, and it kind of takes the pressure off of me to, you know, not have to text her every month. I know, again, first world problems. Anyways, my point is I've really gotten out of the mindset of, you know, the Hermes journey and I need to buy this or that, or I need to get this or that bag offer. In fact, I've realized that I really don't need another Birkin in my life. Originally, after I got my Birkin 30, I was like, well, next I'm gonna want a Birkin 25 because, you know, the Birkin 25s are so cute and it's the next logical step. But they're honestly quite small. I did try one on in Paris and it did look like a toy bag. It's not like it fills a gap in my collection. There's no real gap right now that needs to be filled. The only reason why I would get one is because, you know, I want the prestige or I want the whatever that comes with getting a Birkin 25. And that's just not practical in my, you know, phase of life right now. I would rather spend my money on other things. That's not to say that I would refuse it, obviously, if one magically appeared, but, you know, I'm not going to go chasing it. I'm not going to try to build up my spend and relationship to hopefully one day be offered this because I really don't need it in my life. And I'm just glad that I came to this clarity after, you know, spending time with the bags that I do have for months and months on end. It's like it's finally become not a forced thing, and I'm just surprised at how many bags I've already have in my collection that I really don't need anymore. And that's not to say I'm never gonna buy another bag again, because honestly they're very beautiful and I think they're nice, but the exercise of, you know, appreciating what you have, using what you have, it's actually quite interesting that the more I use my existing bags, the more I love them, the more I appreciate them. So it might be an interesting experiment for any of you guys out there who are on the luxury treadmill. I found that because I've had to force myself to wait and not spend money on the latest beautiful bag or SLG or shoes or swimsuit, eventually that desire to own that object will pass. And I know from experience that there will always be the next beautiful thing. So it's okay if I miss out on something right now. And, you know, all of these things are extraneous. So let's not put too much pressure on ourselves or feel pressure from everyone else you see on the internet. Honestly, when someone unboxes bags every other week, unboxes luxury things every other day, I'm not into that anymore. I think it's quite unrealistic, especially for my lifestyle. I mean, it's great for them, but I don't need that. I don't want that. So yeah, those are just a lot of the thoughts that I wanted to share. Now that I've, you know, progressed in wanting to get out of the luxury journey mindset. I'm glad that I challenged myself in this way. I feel like I have evolved in my mindset and I've grown. So I wanted to share that experience with you. And again, if any of you guys have any questions or wanted to share, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to be a resource for you. And thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye!